We are fortunate today to be joined by the one and only Alicio Valle, who is a solutions architect here at Bonterra. He brings a unique blend of technical experience and hands-on experience in the world of student services to his role. Prior to joining Bonterra, Alicio dedicated 6 years to the education sector as a social worker at schools, where he developed a profound understanding of the challenges and opportunities in student support services. So, passionate about empowering organizations, Alicio really excels in demonstrating how Bonterra's impact management platform can simplify that data management and ultimately help you grow the success with your clients. So, really uniquely positioned, super excited and lucky to have Alicio here with us today. So, I will take a back seat and let you go ahead and take it away.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Amanda. Hope everybody's doing well. Glad you're here. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. And yeah, let's talk a little bit about one, kind of who I am. As Amanda mentioned, I come from the school social work world, working in Denver, Colorado, and then now, or most recently in Raleigh, North Carolina, which is where I'm coming from today. But really excited to be here. Love this solution. A ton of value I see in it from the front end to the back end. I'll be taking you through all of that today. With that said, I want to talk a little bit about the work we do in this space. This is a completely configurable platform, and this allows us to serve a variety of purposes. So we have worked with organizations doing anything from school-based violence prevention to suicide risk and threat assessment management to typical student support services, which is what we're going to see today, all the way into more specific things like ADA complaints and employee complaints within the school system. So a number of different use cases, really flexible solution. As I mentioned, we're going to see some of that play out today in the demonstration, how quickly you can pivot and capture data dynamically in the platform. Want to reiterate too, as Amanda mentioned, I'm going to be covering a lot of stuff today. Feel free to ask any questions you have in the QA box. We'll address them kind of as they come in. With that said, let's dive right into it here. So Apricot is a completely cloud-based solution. And this means that wherever we have access to the internet and access to a device that can access the internet, we can utilize this tool. It's completely mobile responsive. So if I shrink down my view to a cell phone screen here, you're going to see my dashboard page shrink down to that screen. This is going to apply the same way to tablets, to different laptop screen sizes as well. And the entire solution will be responsive in this nature. So if you're doing things like home visits, going into different classrooms, working groups in different areas in the building, you can access this from your cell phone, enter in your quick kind of case notes and data management components. First feature I want to point out is notification functionality up top here. We can set up these custom notifications to notify us for a number of different things. If a form has been completed, if someone new has been referred to our caseload, we can time deliver these as well. So if you're doing things like 30, 60, 90-day changeover time assessments, you can set those reminders in the system. A number of different use cases for that. It's going to notify you in the solution as well as shoot you an email outside of the platform. All right, when you first log into the platform, you're going to be greeted with our bulletin page. And we refer to this as our kind of dashboard page. But coming in here, we're going to have these different blocks or bulletins that highlight different data pieces, as well as things like shortcuts to different parts of the system. One thing to mention here, I'm using this lovely purple to kind of match our branding on here, but you can change this and add your own logo, change the coloration of this and make it feel like your own. Now, coming in here, you see I have some custom shortcuts. I can enter in a new student from here, do a student search, jump to the reporting tool, submit a referral from here. These shortcuts are dynamic. They can change to be whatever it is you want to see. These can go outside of the platform. If you're utilizing something like Google Drive or Office 365, you can create a shortcut from here, or you can jump to different tools within the solution. All right, but now some stuff you may see on the day-to-day. So tracking things like your upcoming appointments, seeing what students you're meeting with, tracking those times dynamically in the platform and those dates. So as soon as I log into the system, I'm seeing who I'm meeting with today, what time that appointment's occurring. And on the right-hand side, I have this tracking the most recent entered case note. So again, keeping me from jumping through and digging into my folder system, my record system. I can see I'm meeting with Abigail today. I can see last time we met for a simple check-in. If I want to view the full view of that record, I can simply click this row and access where it's pulling the data from. In this case, it's the case note. So you can really set these dashboard pages up to be dynamic and really streamline your day-to-day process, saving you a ton of time. Keep in mind too, as I'm going through these different examples, they're just that, examples. So you can change these up to show and reflect whatever data sets you want to show and reflect, a variety of use cases for the platform. But coming in here, another thing you may see or want to track is your caseload. So seeing the individual students you're responsible for, different demographic data points on these students, such as grade level, racial demographics, primary phone number. This can track things like what classroom they're in, what periods they have what class in, right? A number of different ways to show that data. On the right-hand side, just showing an example of the data visualization tool. This is built into the reporting solution. This is not coming in from a different solution. It's all in one place. We're going to go over how to build these out too. Really simple to do. But wherever you see these visuals on the dashboard page, you can quickly export them as a digital image or get the spreadsheet data sitting behind them. So important to note, your data is your data. You can pull it off at any moment. And while we're on the subject of data, we are fully HIPAA and FERPA compliant. We have a number of different security measures. All the data stored on the platform is fully encrypted as well. Now, kind of digging back into my social work days, one of the things that comes up often is managing attendance, tracking things like X number of days absent, when I have to send out a letter to families, and we can build reports in the system that live track this information. So here I'm taking individual students, I'm storing in the system, and I'm breaking this report down to show me what days they've been absent, giving me a total count of those days. See, this individual has 9 days, and what days they've been marked present. Again, tracking things like their student ID, student name, the date of their attendance on here. And again, we can add to this as well, tracking the teacher, maybe what activities they covered that day and what they missed. All of these reports, again, are going to track dynamically. So as we enter in new information in the system, as we enter in attendance for today, this data will flow automatically into this report without me having to go in and redo my statements or redo my column statements. All that's going to be stored, ready to view and up to date. Again, more in the realm of social work here, doing things like external referrals in the system. Because the system is so flexible, we're able to build out community-based organization profiles that we often work with. And we can take these profiles and have contacts within them. And with those contacts, we can go ahead and email out student information to go ahead and refer out to things like housing services, counseling services, therapy services, actually track that in the system itself. And we can do all that without ever leaving the system. So coming in here, I'm just tracking the referrals I've sent out, student names on the left, date of said referral, and the organization I'm referring them out to. Then tracking the status. Is it pending? Is it completed? On the right-hand side, you'll see we're integrated with Google Maps. So I can actually create a pin report of where I'm referring these individual students out to. These can also be heat maps if I want to see kind of where my students are living, where they're coming from. A number of different ways I can kind of tell my story with this map functionality here. And the last piece I want to quickly highlight here is just tracking change over time data. I know from being in the school system and counseling roles as well as social work roles, we need to see student success and we need to see how they're developing through our interventions. So we can track all of that in the system by tracking all of our individual clinical assessments and then seeing that change over time data. So averaging out 30-day scores versus 60-day versus 90-day and seeing how they're growing over time as they process through our student service department. And this is what the dashboard is going to give you: a fully custom experience, dynamic data flow that's synchronously entering these reports as you enter them in the platform, as well as a completely custom and configurable experience. So you can create whatever bulletins you want to show on here, whatever reports you want to highlight on here. You're not kind of stuck with anything out of the box. So a lot of information up front there. I want to give you all a chance to enter any questions you have in the Q&A, if anything's coming up for you currently.
Yeah, there seems to be one question related to this, but feel free to put more in if you have one. But you're talking about kind of the, customization or flexibility here. Some folks are saying, there might be an example where our counseling team might want to see more mental health data, and our social work team may want to see more community-based resources and referral data. So with these dashboards, is there any way to create different ones for different roles within our organization?
Yeah, that's a great question. So using permissions in the system, we can actually show hide different bulletins and use that to create a custom experience. So when I log in as a counselor, My specific permissions will only show me bulletins that have to do with my counseling caseload on the things that pertain to my counselor role. Whereas I'm logging as a social worker, maybe I'll see things like that referral report and then my individual caseload, right? So different ways to kind of create that custom experience through that permission setting. And that works across the board too, with forms as well. If you have forms specific to your counseling role that are different from the social work role, you can set those permissions up in the same way. Great question.
Awesome. Thank you. It seems to be it right now. So I'll let you keep moving, but feel free to drop any more as they come.
Cool. Fantastic. So I want to shift gears now and talk a little bit about the record keeping system. Again, we talked about how the dashboards are configurable. The record keeping system is going to work the same way. So here I'm tracking things like student profiles, family profiles, threat assessments, right? But I can change this as well. I can change the verbiage of this. I can change what these individual forms are capturing as well. If I want to add something else on here, like maybe a discipline record, I can track that here. Coming in here, I'm going to jump into my student profiles, and effectively I'm opening up that bucket. So if I click on my student profiles, I have a list of all my individual students in the platform, some high level data I've selected that I want to see on here. So things like grade level, student ID. This can be configured as well, though, if I want to see maybe what classroom they're in or who is responsible for them or who's on their caseload. I can do that as well. Number of different things to search by. This was always a huge pain point for me dealing with different applications like PowerSchool and Infinite Campus. Search functionality is really limited. You have to be really specific. So coming in here, I can designate any field in a form to be searchable and get really specific with what I want to search by as well. If I want to search by maybe date of service and student name, I can stack those up on here. Now, once I find the student record I want to see, I can simply just click that row and it's going to open up their Manila folder, so to speak, on a digital scale here. So coming here, we see I have Abigail Bell's folder. From here, I can internally refer her if I want to refer to maybe the counseling department or the social work department. I can also do audits on this record so I can see what individual staff member was in this client's folder at what time, what date, and what they did when they were in it. And then down here will be all of the important information, all the data tracking I'm doing in the system. So things like her case notes, her different assessment scores we're tracking. She has something like an IEP or a 504. I want to track that document in the platform and track that here as well. And bear in mind too, these are all custom configurable forms. So if you want to build your own kind of assessments out that you're doing, maybe for MTSS, or maybe just a simple student daily check-in, you can build out whatever you want in the platform and you'll have all the tools to be able to do that as well. You'll see here, I'm looking at the historical information. If I want to jump in and view the full view of one of these forms here, I can just click into the row and then get the full view of that assessment. And of course, if I want to enter in a new, I can hit this plus here and get a blank slate assessment. So this is where all the kind of data tracking will take place and where we'll manage our client's growth over time and the different day-to-day things we need to track, like case notes. Great. So I'm going to shift gears now and talk a little bit about intake and how we get these students into the system. What we often see with the school systems we work with is they have a student information platform already somewhere else. And a lot of these student support services, organizations that use us, import that data into the Apricot platform. So oftentimes you don't have to go through the initial intake process, but do want to show that we do offer things like web forms in the solution. And this can allow students and families to self-refer if something's going on. So if they are maybe dealing with some kind of hardship, food shortage, or maybe they're struggling to make ends meet via rent, and we want to have the ability to have families refer and let us know that's taking place, we can set up these online web forms. We can publish these to the school website. And anybody can come in here, click the button to fill out this information, and enter in their information, maybe some information on what they're struggling with or what they need at this time. Once they fill this information out and hit submit, it'll go ahead and populate that request over to the Apricot database on your end automatically. So when you log in for the day, you can have a dashboard report that's live tracking these web forms coming in. So huge time saving functionality there. And to see what that looks like in a completed kind of live version here, a link in Kansas City, a current client of ours, they utilize this tool really well, but they have this set up for their after school programming. So any family can come into their website here, which is where I'm at right now, select the button to start the application process. Want to point out too, no limitations around these if you want to have multiple applications in different languages or different applications going to different places in the Apricot system. You can have as many of these as you want to. Then go ahead and start the application process here. And this will load up a pretty lengthy form, just tracking all the initial information they need for that after school and preschool programming. So they save about 20 minutes per intake utilizing that tool. Again, when used properly, these are a really fantastic way to get that student initial information, those initial requests in the system. Now, once those student profiles are built into the system, once we have those requests in the system, what we can do to further process them is go through something we call workflows. And these workflows in the solution are going to be a step-by-step process and how we want to handle a certain task. So I'm going to jump down here, back on the bulletin page here. It's my workflows. You'll see a few different examples in here. So these can be set up and be as many as you want them to be, have as many steps built into them as you want to see. Here I have one for student counseling. I have another one for needs assessment, right? So I can differentiate these. I'm going to go ahead and use my student counseling example here. And here I'll select what student I want to take through this process. So I'll just go ahead and do Abigail here. And this will be my student's profile. So their basic information, name, date of birth, primary phone number, different identities in the platform. We can change these individual dropdowns, ask whatever questions we want on here. If we want to add more languages, for example, we can absolutely do that. Address fields are going to live track. So as I enter in addresses in the system, this is going to link to that Google Map functionality. We'll go ahead and drop a pin on where the student's living. Then here I can attach any family information, such as the mother, father's name. If I want to link families and have them stored in a different place, I have that option as well. Once I'm comfortable with this information here, I'll go ahead and hit save and next. It'll bring me to my second task of my workflow here. So again, keeping things on Rails, going step 1, step 2, step 3. So we're doing the same thing every time, maintaining that data integrity and following the same processes. All right, so here I'm going to assign them a counselor or social worker. Can include any notes in here. We say student is struggling with behavioral issues stemming from home environment. Capture that initial data there. And then here, I can answer in my first assessment, which is a short moods and feeling questionnaire. So again, this is something that I've determined I want to be a part of my student intake process, capturing that baseline data so I can see that change over time metric. So you can see here, custom form we built out, asking these individual questions, qualitative data in the front, but also quantifying it in the background so I can get those numeric values. And this is one built off of the short moods and feeling questionnaire, actual live example. So you can take the individual assessments you're using or pull ones that are already vetted and rebuild them in the platform itself. So let's save and next here. And this is going to bring me to the Arizona Self-Sufficiency Matrix, which is a great needs assessment, kind of covering everything a client may need or be struggling with at this time. All right. So again, more on the family level, but wanted to show kind of a clinical counseling view as well as a social worker view, right? Gathering those needs. This is one from our template library. So you can pull these out on day one. There's hundreds of templates in there that you can utilize, and you can edit these as well. So there are specific data points that you want to see captured on these forms. You can build off of these. You can remove from them to make it more kind of approachable and specific to what you're looking for. Coming in here, just measuring needs on a number of different factors from healthcare coverage, life skills to employment, housing. And what I love about this one is it's doing that same kind of functionality, qualitative in the front, quantifying it in the background. This one has some built-in logic at the end that based on the answers I select and submit here, it's going to go ahead and recommend specific next steps for me to follow. So you'll see it's calculating that total score for me there. And that's also going to be dynamic. As I change those values, the score will change. And then because I selected certain answers, it's going to recommend biweekly case management because I'm within a vulnerability threshold of my score. As I said, no housing, it's going to recommend I create a housing goal. Same for employment, right? So you can set up these dynamic fields as you see fit, again, to guide your process further. All right, and then that will finish my workflow process. One thing I want to point out with these workflows, because I've worked as a school social worker before, I know how often we get pulled out of our office when we're in these processes. If we have to step away at any moment, it's going to track all those intakes you've done. And if they're in progress, you can jump right back in to where you left off and pick up from there. So far we've kind of seen the capabilities of the dashboard, the configuration around that, the filing system, how we can enter in student data, as well as those web forms, and then going through a workflow process to kind of keep our processes on rails and organized. A lot of ways data can come into the system. Any questions on any of that you've seen there? I want to make sure I open the floor and give space for that.
Yeah, so we've got two questions so far here on this one. So just thinking about all of that student data, right? And as we're talking about data capturing and thinking about kind of the privacy piece, right, which I know is so important to folks. Got a question just saying like students share a lot of confidential information with us. So is there any kind of permission settings in the system that helps us restrict access to certain users or certain roles so that maybe not everybody is seeing that input?
Absolutely. Yeah. So that kind of goes into that dashboard customization as well. We can show hide different forms. So if there are forms that maybe only the counselor needs access to, we can hide those forms in the background and not give access to the social worker or maybe the teachers that are going to be on this platform. We can also get as specific as securing certain fields within a form. So if there is some specific information that we absolutely cannot share, but maybe the social worker needs access to the other information on that form, we can lock down that specific field so they can't have access to that. And you can get even more granular than that by actually setting permissions around your caseload. So the specific students that you are working with and responsible for will be the only students you have access to across the board.
Awesome. Okay, great. Thank you for sharing. And there was one other question, I think, pretty early on when you were walking through some of this. You had actually mentioned Power School. And so we had someone here asking if Apricot interfaces with that or how they interact separately or replace, et cetera. So if you could just give some light into that.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think in best case scenarios, we replace. But we also understand oftentimes school districts have kind of mandated systems that they're paying for under contract for. So we can also interface with those. So if I need to bring my student data on over from PowerSchool, we have a data import tool within Apricot itself that can actually take the SIS system data and then bring it in and create student profiles automatically in the system. This kind of circumvent you having to enter in the data 2 times on the platform. So really the answer is both. We have the capability to do what PowerSchool does, but also if you just wanted this to be a specific use case for student support services, you can also link that data in the background.
Awesome. Thanks. That looks like the questions we have for now. So I'll let you keep moving.
Cool.
Appreciate it.
Fantastic. Yeah, great questions. All right. Last piece I want to highlight in terms of data coming into the platform is going to be our portal service. So we can set these portal accounts up to serve students, volunteers, staff members if we want to. But coming in here, I'm going to log in as a student here in my example. This is also going to be mobile responsive, so students can access this from their cell phones as well. But this is going to load up a series of forms for me. And these forms are forms that I've designated I want students to have access to. We can have things on here like informed consent forms. This was a pain point for me personally as a social worker, chasing parents down, trying to get informed consent signatures before I could refer them out to services. So we can actually just store this on the portal account itself. Students can log in, have their parents fill these out. We can include signature fields on here too. Hit save, and this will go ahead and attach their student record in the Apricot database on your end. And that'll happen instantaneously. We can also have things on here like satisfaction surveys or more kind of personal assessments. Maybe things like the KC Life Skills Assessment, measuring protective factors on different skill sets that a student has. Maybe they want to fill this out privately, don't want to fill it out. It's kind of talking to you. You can have them log on to their cell phone, tablet, laptop, and then fill this out in your office, or they can do it at home. This is also a great way for students to reach out to you. So if they have to come in and they want to meet with you, instead of having to ask their teacher or go through these kind of uh, physical means of getting these appointments, they can come onto the platform, request an appointment. It'll load up your calendar on here. It won't show what you're doing. It'll just be gray and say busy. And as a student, I can come in here and request to meet with you from 2 to 3:30. I can hit submit. And so we'll go ahead and send me, the caseworker, an email that's going to ask me if I want to approve or deny this request. If I approve it, it'll populate in my calendar. If I deny it, it'll get deleted. Another great feature with this is we can give them access to update their personal information. So if they have an address change, if their contact info changes, they can jump onto this portal account here, update their address, update their phone number or email, and that'll reflect, or those changes will reflect onto the Apricot database on your end. And that's the Connect portal. Again, we're seeing some examples on here of forms, but you can put whatever forms you want on here and whatever you see fit. So now we're really going to shift gears and jump into the back end. We've seen kind of all the ways data can come into the system. Now I want to show what we can do in terms of capturing that data and building reports out. But any questions on the portal here?
Yeah, we actually did have one because you're showing a student portal here, and some folks were curious if there's the ability to have a parent portal, so to speak, or different types of portals than just one for students.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a really good question. So you can set these up for different groups in the system. We can have parent access on here too, where we have parent specific forms that will of course link to the family record.
Right.
You can also have these for community-based organizations that maybe you're receiving donations from and you want them to fill out what they're donating, how much money that is. You can set those up as well. Really flexible tool.
Awesome. Thank you.
Fantastic. All right. So one of the key strengths of Apricot is what we're going to get into now, and that's on the back end side of the system. Really easy to use, really easy to make changes to the data you're capturing, as well as kind of tell the story with the data you're using. So I want to quickly start with form building here. And I'm starting here because I know being in the school system, the different data points we have to capture kind of change month to month, week to week sometimes, and you have to pivot quickly. And where we really kind of stand out in the market is that you're not going to have to go through us to make these changes. You're going to get training on how to build these forms out, how to build these reports out. You're going to come in here and be able to make these changes yourself at any moment. So say I needed to make an edit to my case note record. I'm in my form building tool now on the administrative side of the system. And here I have all my different fields on my case note. Let's say maybe I wanted to add another multi-line description, say for goal progress. All I'm going to do is find multi-line for my fields, click drag and drop it here, and it'll populate that field for me here. Now from here, I can change what I want to ask. So I can say goal progress update. And you can see I can make this required, quick view in the client record, make anything searchable in the system. Hit apply there, and now that'll be a part of my form. You can build whole assessments with this as well. I want to add something like a Likert scale here. And we'll just say, how satisfied are you with services? And here we can quickly add some options. We'll just say satisfied, neutral, not satisfied. And then here I can put some backend values too. So I can get that numeric data, change over time data. When hitting apply, you can see now I have that Likert scale, right? So you'll get training on all this information. You'll be able to come into this form building tool, build out full-fledged assessments, update existing ones, leverage the template library to kind of have a foundation to build off of, and a number of different things you can do, as you can see, a number of different form options and field options that we can add to these forms. Just to highlight a few more here, we can upload pieces of information like you saw with the IEP 504 documentation. We also have those signature fields too, you can drag and drop. And then any of these specific fields can be set to secured, so they hide from specific individuals. Again, maintaining that confidentiality for students. I'm going to deactivate these here. Right. And then while we're on the topic of forms, I mentioned the template library a few times. Just want to give a glance at what's in there. So all of these forms you'll have access to on day one. Some will be specific to education, some will be specific to youth services. But you can come in here and utilize these, publish these as you see fit, and of course, edit off of them if you want to make any changes to them. And that's at no additional cost. That'll be a part of whatever package you kind of move forward with if you get to that point. All right. The last piece, and probably the most important, most powerful component in the solution, is going to be the reporting tools. So there's a few different packages with Apricot. Right now we're looking at 360. The 360 includes two reporting tools. It includes the native reporting tool, which is what we're looking at here, and the results reporting tool, which is a more robust, dynamic, additional feature kind of reporting tool. We'll cover both, but the mid-tier package also has this native reporting tool we're going to look at now. But coming in here, this works really similarly to the form building tool. All of our forms in the system will be shown in this column on the right. I drop down my student profiles, demographic information. This is that form we were looking at when we started our workflow earlier. All these individual fields will have the data I entered into them tied to them. So what I'll do from here is I'll click, drag and drop first names, and it's going to populate the client first names for me here. I'm going to zoom back out a little bit. We'll get last names. We want to see date of birth. We'll do a demographic report here. We'll get student ID, gender identity, right? And just simply clicking, dragging, and dropping the fields that I need to see in this report. And this allows us to kind of quickly tell our story in a way that's easy to use, kind of simple to understand. And we're not digging through and kind of entering custom column formulas into Excel or entering SQL statements. It's all just simple click and drag. Now we saw data visualization components on that dashboard page. This is where that takes place as well. So coming in here, I can go ahead and show graph. And then say I need a racial demographic breakdown for, I don't know, a census report. I can come in here, group by that column there, and you'll see it dynamically updates my chart here to show the different racial demographics. From here, a number of different ways I can format the chart. I can change it to a pie, and add 3D depth. Go ahead and update my title here. Say racial demos, hit apply there. I can do things like include my school logo in the top left corner, make it more official. And of course, I can filter. So if I need to see maybe by grade level, let's actually go ahead and add grade level in here. Say maybe I need to see the demographics of just 11th graders. I'll go ahead and filter by grade level here. I'll say matches any of. And we have 14, we have 24 eighth graders. Let's use eighth grade. Hit apply there, and now it's going to break down the data to just show me my eighth graders. Important to mention too with these filters, if you need to do it by quarter, by school year, you can filter by date range as well in the platform. What's great about these reports is that once I'm all set and ready to go and I want to utilize this report, I go ahead and hit save, hit publish. It'll store this report in the background for me. And as I enter in new student data, as these demographic numbers change, that data will automatically update into these reports. So when I pull them forward next time, I'll see the up-to-date information and I can apply my time filters from there if I need to. Right. And these can also be exported as CSV files and Excel files. And that is a native reporting tool. Again, it's kind of a simple count report here, but you can do things like change over time, calculations, averages, services provided, and things of that nature. Really powerful tool, really simple to use. Before I jump into results reporting, the more complex, robust tool, any questions about this tool here?
Not seeing any thus far, so I'll let you go to the next one.
Fantastic. And what I'm going to do for this one here is pull up a different demo set of mine. All right, so results reporting, it's going to be a standalone solution that comes with Apricot. You'll see it's accessible here under results reporting. If I click in results reporting, it's going to bring me to a separate window. And it's bringing me to this separate window because this is a standalone solution. So it works and communicates with Apricot. This is an additional piece of software that you're going to have. So everything I do on this tool is stored in this tool. You can see all my recent reports on here, folders, documents, categories, and the tool itself will exist down here. I'm not going to get too into the weeds and what it looks like to build a report on here, but do want to point out that because it is a standalone solution, if you have Excel spreadsheets lying around that aren't in Apricot, you can take those Excel spreadsheets, bring them into this tool here, and run reports on that data. You're not just stuck with your Apricot data. Coming in here, if I do want to use Apricot, which is what you'll likely be using most of the time, you can select universe, and it'll bring us to our form selection. And you can pull in whatever data you want to pull in to this reporting tool here. Now we can do a whole kind of 2-hour webinar on the depths of this tool. It's very complex, but with that complexity comes a lot of unique reports you can build. So what I'm going to do instead, show you all some examples from previous slides. So this is actually a school district in the Midwest, currently utilizing Apricot. We have their permission, of course, to share this. But coming in here, we're seeing interventions by counts from their counseling department. So we're seeing who's receiving 3 or more, 1 or more, no interventions, counts next to percentages, breaking it down by specific school, as well as specific county up top here. So lots of ways to kind of show and display that data. What I love about this one, though, is the layout of it and the beautiful visualization. So different bar charts, breaking down those same counts. And that's really where this tool is going to stand out. You're going to have much more flexibility in your formatting to make things that look like this. What's great about these two is that when we make these out in the system, there's a number of different ways to export them, from PDF files to HTML files. If you want to embed a kind of an annual dashboard on your website, you can do that as well with these. And you can also target email these out. So if you had a 1-page snapshot similar to this one here, where you're showing total counts of students improving, different service types you're delivering, and you need to present this to maybe your department head at the end of the year, you can come in here, build this report out, and target deliver this to that individual that's outside of Apricot. So once it's built out, I can get their email and say, on this date at this time, email them this 1-page snapshot of everything we did as a department. You don't have to worry about it. That'll happen automatically in the background. If you have something that's more frequent than that too, you can set up a weekly cadence, daily cadence for those delivered reports. All right, and the last one I wanted to show is just a simple case profile. So it's great to have kind of the folder and record system in the Apricot database, but sometimes we're meeting to talk about student progress as a team with admin, and we want to go ahead and have these kind of print out versions of our student progress and their profiles. We can use that reporting tool to build out profiles that look like this. We're highlighting all of the student information and all the need to know data points. certain risk factors, plan goals, plan services, target outcomes, different scoring on what we're giving them per service, and a further breakdown of that data in a tabled fashion here. It's a really flexible tool. A lot of things you can do with this tool. Um, really powerful as well. Taking this example here, once I build this out for one student, I can replicate it for every student in the system with a few clicks of a button. And that covers reporting. So before I close out there, any questions on reporting specifically?
So one question on reporting specifically is commenting on kind of the ever-changing goals of success, right? That we might be bestowed upon us, as it sounds like you know and have some experience with. Are these reports kind of flexible, customizable? Can you change them as they go, or are they kind of set in stone? Like, so, there's an ever-changing landscape. So how does this tool help adapt to that?
Yeah, absolutely. So what's great about the flexibility of the solution is that you can use that form designer to kind of change the data you're capturing at any moment. And that form designer and the changes you make in there are going to directly reflect in your reports. So as soon as you make a field or add a field to the form designer tool, that field will show up in the reporting tool. And then from there, you can use that click and drag functionality to dynamically drop and change your reports to pivot your impact story. And just want to show while we're on that subject too, all the reports you build out will be stored in your report library. So at any moment, say we need to have these suicide risk assessments annually, and we need to review these annually in this report here, I can pull this up whenever I need it. All the data will be up to date in here as the new suicide risk assessments come into the solution. And if I need to add maybe what MTSS level they were at, between what particular date they were at that level, I can come in here and click, drag, and drop that MTSS level if I add it to a form and up-to-date information there. So really easy to kind of pivot and attach different data pieces as these requests for new data components kind of come in.
Awesome, that's great. I'll let folks take another second here, minute here to think about any last minute questions you might have. But if you're interested in kind of exploring this tool further, want to get kind of a more one-to-one walk through, ask some of those questions maybe that don't come to mind right away. We'd love to chat with you further. So feel free to let us know. We'll get something on the board so that you can have that more personalized conversation. So I'll leave that up for a moment here. If you have any last minute questions, we'll take a second. But if not, Alicia, I don't know if you had any kind of last things that you wanted to show or say or add before we maybe close out here.
Yeah, I think showing all this in a short amount of time can feel kind of overwhelming. So I always like to close out with just the bare minimum support that we do offer in the solution. 7 to 7 Central Time live chat support, as well as an article database, which is what I'd love to highlight here. You're going to have keys to the entire system. And with that comes a lot of knowledge you're going to have to obtain and kind of go through as you're building these reports out and these forms out. Let's really get the most out of the platform. So we have this wiki article style database here, where if you're struggling with something like reports, like form building, you can search for that functionality. And there'll be an article that'll take you step by step through that process. So you'll go through training with our team before you even get your hands on the platform. But at bare minimum, you will always have this unlimited usage database here. It's going to take you through different components as you're trying to figure it out.
Yeah, that's super important. Thank you for noting that. It doesn't seem like we have any last minute questions that have come in. So I will thank you so much, Alicia, for your time today and this really thorough walkthrough and giving us a really good sense of how, this can help folks in the education agency and let them really work with their students in a better way. And so thank you so much for sharing, and appreciate y'all for joining in. Hope to chat with you soon, and we'll be around for any further questions. Feel free to reach out to anyone here at Bonterra directly. We're happy to chat with you further. But really appreciate it, Alicia. Super grateful that you shared your background and how that helped inform some of what we showed today. So thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely. Thank you all so much for coming Appreciate the work you all do. Hopefully I'll see
All
you
right.
soon.
Have a great day, everyone.